Welcome to my course, Game Development Basics, Week 7, Lesson 7, Unlocking Ships and Upgrades. And I wanted to just start this lesson off by asking you to send me footage of the projects you've been making in this course. In Week 8, I'm going to be going through the old projects and making some updates, and I'd like to showcase some student projects during those lessons as well. So if you have a minute, record some footage of you playing your game, or you can send the project to me. I would love to see the work you've been doing. And just to warn you, if you're following along, I've already gone ahead and done a bunch of work for this lesson and the next one, and I live streamed that footage. Now, I will break everything down for you, so you should be able to follow along with me. But if you need some extra help, I do recommend going and watching that live stream so that you can try to see me doing it firsthand. And as always, please feel free to ask questions in the comments, or you can get a hold of me on my public Discord. And the link for that will be in the description. So I'm going to start by doing just a quick demo of the new features that we set up. Now, some of these will be set up in lesson 8, but I'm just going to go through everything really quick because it'll demonstrate how the new unlock system that we created works. So when I go to select ship, and you can see this looks quite different, I'm able to go through my two different ships. So right now I have ship 1 and ship 2, but I don't have access to ship 3. So I'll select this ship, and then when I go in and I destroy this boss and I get that level complete message and I return, now when I go to select ship, I have a new weapon, which this is what we're gonna do in the next lesson. And I now have my new ship. So now I have access to ship 3, which I didn't have before. I have ship 1 and 2, and I can also choose between these different weapons for my starting weapons. So let's just break this down really quickly. If you remember, in our last lesson, we set up some variables on our game instance. And I'm just gonna go through a couple of these because I changed the names of some of them. So we have our unlocked ships, which is an array of all of the ships that the player has unlocked. And you can see here, there's currently only 2 items in that array. Then we have unlocked weapons, and we can see here that there's also 2 items in that array, laser cannon and rocket launcher. And there's one other new variable that we set up, and this is a struct that we're calling level info. One of the things I realized when I was playtesting this is that each level may be a little bit different, a little bit longer or shorter. So right here on our player camera, right at the beginning, I created a new function called get level info. And for now, all we're doing is we're getting access to that struct, and we're getting an integer that I called level duration. And we're setting that to the level duration on our player camera. And the reason for this is each level may have a different duration, so there needs to be some adjustability there. So this is now part of this level info struct, and we're passing it into our player camera. Also on level info is another struct called level unlocks. And right now there's 3 variables on here: unlocked ship, unlocked weapon, and unlocked special attack. And these are all of their respective type. And in our last lesson, you'll also remember that we set up this level complete function on our BP game mode. And all of this was just setting up that functionality for when the level is complete. But then at the end, we had this function called collect remaining currency, which we passed in the game instance. And this was allowing us to save the currency that the player had collected. And then I've set up a new function called unlock rewards. And this is also taking an input of game instance. And the main point here is that I'm casting the game instance, and this allows me to only have to do that once. So I cast to it and then I pass it into both of these functions. So in unlock rewards, there's 2 functions that we have set up. Unlock ship, which takes that input of game instance. We're going to get that current level info struct. We're going to break it out and get the level unlock struct. And then we're going to break that out and get access to this unlocked ship. And here for our game instance, we have an unlocked ships array. We're just going to add another item to that array. And then of course we want to end this function by saving that so that now if the player closes the game or starts over, they will still have access to the new ship that they unlocked. Unlocked weapon is pretty much identical, except for we are getting access to that unlocked weapons array in game instance. And then we're breaking it out again to get the new unlocked weapon and adding that to the array and then saving it to our saved game. And there is one more thing that we set up, and we'll continue to develop on this in lesson 9. But in our main menu, we have the start game, and here what it was just open level by name. But now we want to be able to get access to a specific level. So we'll go to our game instance, we'll get that current level info struct, and then we're going to break out and get the level name and pass that in to open level by name. And this will allow us to pick from different levels, which is something we're going to set up in lesson 9. So I hope that was fairly straightforward and you were able to follow along. If this went a little bit fast and maybe it felt like there was a missing piece to this, I did live stream the creation of these functions, and I'll put a link to that live stream in the description. You can also feel free to ask me a question in the comments, or you can reach out to me on my new Discord, and I'll also put a link to that in the description. In the next lesson, I'm going to show you how we set up all of these additional pieces on our ship selection screen, and that's giving us access to the information about each ship and how they compare to each other, and then also giving us this ability to select between different starting weapons. So we'll go ahead and set all of this up in the next lesson.